I've had the opportunity to work for two different billionaires in my life, and it was a really unique experience. So, what I wanted to do today is just quickly boil down 10 simple lessons that I have taken away from those experiences because I know not everybody gets to work so closely with those kinds of people. If you don't know me, my name is Matt Jertson, and I'm the founder and chief learning officer of Better Everyday Studios, a consulting company that helps organizations increase their performance through employee training. Before this, I was an instructor pilot in the US Air Force, and then I led training and development at SpaceX for several years. With this channel, I'm trying to bring practical tips for learning professionals, people managers, HR professionals on how you can improve the effectiveness of your organization. So let's dive into the lessons learned. The first simple lesson I took away is that most people actually wouldn't want their life. I know we all tend to look up to the rich and famous and think, oh, wouldn't that be amazing? It actually, I don't think would be, especially not at that level. The extreme nature of their lives, of how much they have to work, how isolated they have to be, is probably not something that everybody would want to take on if they really knew what it was like. The second lesson is that the best ideas always come from constraints. I think we tend to believe that it would be great if we had all the resources in the world, but time and again, at really innovative companies, what I see is that the really amazing results come from a lack of resources. Those are the things that cause you to think differently and really jump ahead of the competition. The third lesson that really appeals to me as someone who is interested in learning development is that the best way to learn is to just try it. I think we all tend to read the books, listen to the podcasts, research, and in the end, we're not moving forward. And if you're trying to develop a new skill or you're trying to develop a new business or a new product, you just got to release it. You just got to put it out there because you can iterate forever in your own head, but until it's actually out in the world, you're not going to know if something is a good idea or not. And then once you release it and start putting something out there, the fourth lesson that I learned is that it really pays to be 100% committed to an idea. When you put something out there, when you decide, hey, I'm going to launch this business, for some period of time, you need to be 100% committed to that idea. Everything in your life should be going towards that one purpose, that goal, if you really want to move forward. However, there's a caveat to this with the fifth lesson, and that is that it really pays to change your mind quickly. You want to be 100% committed, but you also have to have some trigger points of once I learn this thing or once I try this thing, then I'm going to reevaluate and change my mind. You need to be able to forget about whatever resources, whatever commitments you made in the past. Don't succumb to the sunk cost fallacy. If information comes in that says this is a bad idea, then that's when you are just as 100% committed to the change as you were to the original idea. I'll admit this sixth lesson might not be obvious when you're in these kinds of high pressure environments, but one major takeaway that I had is working long hours does not equal getting more done, right? I know a lot of people who just are kind of putting in the hours because it's expected of them. They're there at the office 50 hours a week, 60 hours a week. At some point, for the vast majority of people, especially over the long term, that is just not productive. And I would argue that spending 12 hours a day at the office is what's giving you an excuse to waste 4 hours a day. You're taking the extra break, you're having the extra conversation purely because you know you're going to be in the office anyway. Whereas if you said, I'm actually not going to be here as long, then you'd be much more focused and much more productive. That being said, the seventh lesson is that sometimes you have to put in the hours. Sometimes there is a big project. Sometimes there's a bunch of work that there's kind of no way around it. You just have to slog through it. And the faster you can focus on that and just get it done, the better it's going to be. And now you have to be careful with this because the eighth thing I learned is that everything takes longer than you thought. It just does. Whether again, SpaceX is famous for setting launch dates that end up getting pushed back years. They're still doing amazing things, but everything takes longer than you expect. You cannot plan around it, so just plan for it. The ninth lesson I learned is that individual excellence can only take you so far. Both the billionaires that I have worked at, any big company that you look at, it was never because of one person. It was always because of bringing together lots of really great people. That's how you move forward. If you're looking to start a business or grow an organization, the absolute worst thing that you can do is always hire people who can look up to you. You should be hiring people that you look up to, that are better than you, that can teach you something. If you are always hiring people who are better than yourself, that is the way you really upskill your organization so that you can achieve amazing things. And then the final thing that I learned is no matter how many amazing people you hire, if you don't build processes, you will regret it. You cannot forever rely on individual excellence. You need to bring in that individual talent, that excellent talent, to solve the problems, build the things. But then you quickly need to turn their talent into processes that other people can perform, because eventually you're going to grow really quick, or somebody is going to leave, or some emergency is going to happen, and you need to have those processes laid down so that the whole system can keep moving forward and isn't just relying on one person. So I know that was a really quick summary of 10 lessons. Some of them are juxtaposed to one another. Some of them don't. And I think that's just the reality of life. Some things that are true in one circumstance are false in another circumstance. And to be really successful, you have to be able to, be fluid and move between those environments. So I hope you found this video helpful. If you liked it, make sure to subscribe. I'd love to see you back here on this channel, and I hope you have an excellent day.